No, the note here is the person that was in possession when it was adjourned was Deputy Brian Stanley. He was in possession and he can continue the debate, which he had 18 minutes left in his slot.
As long as I can, in relation to this. Okay, as far as I know, Deputy Brady may be in, and if he is in, I'll give him whatever time I've left over. Okay, thank you. Chair, can I first of all say that we have made it clear to the Minister that we will be supporting this, obviously with some minor amendments which we may bring forward, but just in relation to, I know my colleague in the Seanad, Senator Maura Devine, has already spoken on this, so I'm not going to go into too much detail in relation to it, just to say that we recognise that the Minister is making changes to this. It's very similar to a bill that my colleague Deputy Brady actually published recently, which would abolish the mandatory age of retirement, which is our party position. And if it's not, Deputy Brady is going to correct me on that, but it is our party position, and I know Deputy Brady published a bill in relation to that. So we certainly welcome the provisions in the bill. We think it's important that we don't just get rid of people at 65 or 66, or as is being proposed as 67 and 20, whatever it's going to be. They bring a lot of experience, a lot of valuable expertise to the job. One of the arguments which has been made in, I suppose, against this is that it could stymie jobs for younger people. But there's actually quite a good piece of research done by the Library and Research Unit, and they actually talk about that. They have a particular section in their Library and Research document in relation to does extending the retirement age actually stymie jobs for younger people, and all of the research and evidence that is out there suggests that it doesn't. So I think we should nail that fallacy on its head. Minister, just in relation to the circular which was issued in December 2017, I'll touch on that before I hand over to my colleague. It applied to civil servants recruited prior to the 1st of April 2004 who reached the age of 65 years. Between then and December 2017, and the circular ensured that if a retired employee was rehired, he or she would be paid at the minimum point of the pay scale rather than at the point at which he or she had retired. This was designed as an interim measure at the time, Minister, to ensure that a rehired civil servant could continue to draw a salary until he or she was eligible to receive the contributory state pension, because as we know, if you have to retire at 65, there is a gap between that and actually being able to draw your contributory state pension. However, it's not clear whether those who had availed of this interim arrangement will be able to be rehired under the terms of this current bill before us when passed, and be able to work on their previous salary and then retire at the age of 70. So, for instance, if somebody was availing of that interim measure under the circular, they are at the first pay scale now again because they've been rehired. But when this legislation is passed, and if they choose to work on till they're 70, do they stay on that pay scale or do they go back to their original pay scale? That's just something that you might be able to clarify, Minister, for me. And if you can't clarify it tonight, I completely understand. We know that there are issues in relation to different, and I actually have a note here in relation to it. I think it covers about, there's 3 different types of workers who have reached the retirement age, and they all come under different interim measures, and I'm just wondering, Minister, what proposals there are to actually streamline them all into one. Does this bill cover that? And if it doesn't, how are we going to actually rectify that? And the final thing is, Minister, just to say that we will be supporting it. We may put down an amendment I'll consult with my colleague Deputy Brady, who published his own legislation in relation to that. And if we are going to put down an amendment, again, we'll certainly consult with officials in your department. I'm not in the business of putting down amendments for the sake of putting down amendments when there's no need to put them down. So if I will be contacting your officials, Minister, just to clarify some points, and if we get clarification, there will be no need for amendments. There's no need to be wasting your time or my time in relation to that. So we will be doing that. But just to say that we certainly support the spirit of the bill, what is being proposed. We won't be opposing it at second stage, and we look forward to working with you at committee stage. I know my colleague wants to take 4 or 5 minutes on it, so I'm going to hand over to him. Just to give notice to whoever is due to speak after me, we're probably not going to take up our full remaining 12-minute slot, just to give them notice if they want to get to the chamber on time.